This is John Bohlinger with Premier Guitar. So today, with my buddy Chris Keys, who's coming in hot, we're talking about one of my columns for Last Call. And I'd like to give a shout out to my good friends at Keeley Electronics, who sponsor the column. Right here on the way in, you're hearing their dreamy new rotary pedal, so like a Leslie in a tiny box. So with no further ado, let's talk about Last Call. So Chris, good to see you, buddy.
As advertised, I'm here.
Yeah. This column we're talking about is GearCheck. When we went to Glaser's to do that, it's not up yet, but there's a video we did of Joe Glaser's shop. Glaser,
should be up soon.
Yeah. And one of the things he covered was that GearCheck.
Yeah, which I didn't see coming because most of what we talked about, 90% of it was about the different inventions and solutions he's come up with guitar players. Or for guitar players.
Right. I'm looking forward to you all seeing it because it really is it's really a cool episode. But one thing he hit on was this program that he came up with called GearCheck, and essentially it began with him keeping inventory around the shop.
Yeah.
And originally it's just thinking for shop owners. And then he's realizing there are all these collectors that have such inaccurate, terrible, cataloging skills.
Yeah.
Like for myself, I know I had a notebook I'd write my guitars in, and then I'd lose it. And then I'd put them on a computer, and then the computer would die. And I now have I have no record of it. I had no idea how many guitars I had until I signed up for his GearCheck. So essentially, we'll get into this in this column. I hope you read it, but it's this great program for people to register their instruments. If you sign up, well, all the details, I don't want to give it, am I giving too much away?
I think it's all right. I think yeah. And this hasn't clearly been paid for by Joe. Like this is just something that you've found great interest in, and since we filmed that video, you've took him up on joining we'll call it the club, or the team, the software.
Essentially, here is a little version of it. You can it's not an app, it's a site, GearCheck. Okay. But you go there and you get one free gig of memory. And my goal is to never go beyond that free gig of memory. And with that free gig, you can list your guitars. But the great thing about it, it's a way of establishing the provenance of the instrument, everything it's gone through, where it started, as far as, for instance, this old guitar, this is a 52 Les Paul, and it's had a wild life before I got it.
Yeah.
But since I got it, I was able to just say, okay, Joe Glaser put it together for me. This is an old bridge I took off. I had on my old 56 Les Paul, or this old Bigsby. These pickups, one is a Gibson, the other one my buddy Sherman made. Just a way to establish what it is. And then I'm able to share that if I want to with people.
Yeah.
And until I did this, I had no idea how many guitars I owned.
Do you know now?
Yes.
Do you feel comfortable sharing?
Yeah, I've listed 49 guitars.
Okay.
And
it's actually less than I thought.
3 pedal steels and 2 mandolins.
Okay.
So, yeah, and actually in going through it, I realized I found a few. It took me a week to go through. Actually, longer than a week.
Like a scavenger hunt.
Yeah, it was.
Of your own shit.
Yeah, it is. I could hide my own Easter eggs. I didn't know where. I mean, it took me a while to find them. And a few are out on loan, but it was good to kind of track them all down and see them all, and then realize, okay, I've not seen this guitar in years.
So there's one guitar that you brought up, and I think it's the last paragraph of the thing, and this is what I remember from glancing at the article, is that you have a connection to Queensryche.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, my 54 Les Paul.
Which goes kind of to
the provenance of the instrument. It establishes not only that one. I got lucky because he had documented what he had done.
He's one of us. He's a nerd.
Yeah,
a little bit more of a organized one compared to you.
Definitely. But it's I don't know. We're instruments like this. there's an excellent chance that they will be much like a Stradivarius, making music in 300 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if people were still doing that in 300 years. But there's a good chance if our ape overlords let us, we will be playing music, and instruments like this will still be playing. And it's great to have basically a digital gear room where you can have all your stuff, and you can talk about, you can establish everything you've done to the instrument, and establish any repairs that have been made, and where you got it, and what you paid for it.
I could see when he explained it to us in the video, the greater tour video that we'll put out with Joe and Josh Rawlings, who's his right-hand man there,
great
is
guy.
that I could see how it started as a thing for internal use, because it was able, they were talking about in the video that when different people would work on a guitar for a client, it might not be the same guy working on that guitar, and they would be like, well, what was the height of the pickups? What was the height of the action?
Right.
And they'd have to go through their penciled down notes, and this was a central command or central center for them to have all this information. And then I think Joe, being the guy he is, took it how many steps further?
Right. Yeah, the tuned-in players will do things like put in, how you set it up, or your, string gauge, all those things. I didn't do that so much, but I did. I'm more about stories, so I kind of like told stories about them.
Or probably in your case, to toot your horn, because since you don't do it, is like who have you performed with and where it's been on stage or on TV with.
Right. Yeah. That's true, and that's kind of fun to like that 54, the Queensryche Gold Top. I had a picture of me playing with Lainey Wilson on an award show, and I thought, well, no, just put that in there.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean if anything, and I know that different people have angles of why they would use it and fill out the details, but it could see where that would increase value of people's collection to have documentation of certain things.
Yeah, and I
not that you're doing that, but I could see where people or maybe they can truly say that this is an original instrument.
Yeah, absolutely, and it will establish that. But for me, it was just kind of fun to think, I don't know, like I said, these instruments are going to be here making music long after we're gone, and it's kind of fun to just document this little bit of the red violin's history, to see what it's done.
I think the thing that really set on me was when Joe talked about it, and you're alluding to that, is that people always think, well, I'm going to own this guitar until I'm dead, until I pass.
Yeah.
And it might go on to someone in your family if they go with your wishes, but the guitar will outlast the owner.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And Joe's very aware of that.
Yeah, because Joe has seen it.
Yes.
For a long time. And you remember when we did that thing with Marcus King, and he was talking about his granddad's Gibson 345.
Yeah.
That he bought in Montana, back in the day. And that's such a great, when he was stationed there, I guess, in the military. But it's so great to have that history, and it's great that we can all now record our own little history to it and have it right there for the ages. And yes, it will definitely help the value of your instrument, but I think more than anything, it kind of helps the enjoyment of it for whoever's after it.
Yeah, I mean, I think going down, decades and generations, that'll be cool, assuming, like you said, our ape overlords keep the internet switch on.
Yeah, right.
Where this stuff will live.
Right.
Where it can be shared.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. So check out the column. I hope you enjoy it. And I don't know, I can see this thing in the future being where manufacturers will, at the point of creation, list them all in this format, which it totally makes sense. And then you've got it from beginning till end.
Yeah.
Or maybe never end. I don't know.
Well, check out John's column and hopefully that Glaser tour video. That'll be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, that'll be a good one. Thanks,
Later.
y'all.